kind of declared dead.
No, there's no life in my body. Doctor said that there is no life in this body.
Mountaineer Anurag Maloo has been rescued alive from Mt Annapurna after a harrowing 4-day hunt.
Anurag Maloo, 34, set out to climb Mount Annapurna last week but fell down from an altitude of 6,000 meters while descending on April 17th.
He is found alive. He has been taken to the hospital into the critical stage. He is in very critical stage, but he is still alive.
This whole story has been the story of the impossible happening. Because this is an impossible story.
The mountain that's known for taking people's lives has kept me safe. That became my home.
We got a call from Office of President to make sure that you come alive out of the mountain.
I was just chilling inside the crevasse, literally. It was not a rescue mission. It turned into a rescue mission when he found me alive.
Oh man, I can feel the goosebump. Hi Anurag,
Hi, very nice to be here.
very nice to have you here. I think I am quite overwhelmed with the kind of content that I've consumed in last 24 hours or maybe 12 hours as soon as I have a conversation with Sonak, and I don't know where to start, but and I have a bit of imposter syndrome that will I be able to do justice to this episode, but we'll start anyway. So I think the biggest incident of your life. Can we tell that the biggest incident of your life?
Yes, for now, yes.
For now, yes.
So far, yes.
3 days in Annapurna, 80-meter down, no food, no nothing, just one thing, hope.
Exactly.
Do you remember, what do you remember from those 3 days?
I have no memory of that time, so can't really help you here. No memory.
Why did you even came to Nepal? Why did you even wanted to climb Annapurna?
I mean, that was a very easy choice, honestly. I've been training myself for last good 3 years to climb big 8,000-meter mountains and then the 7 summits. I was climbing for SDGs and for my grandmother. And I knew that, 2023 is the year when I'm ready for big 8,000-meter mountains, because since 2020, I've prepared myself, with smaller peaks, 4,000, 5,000 meters, 6,000 meters, 7,000 meter, a lot of technical mountains, so that I'm very well ready, well equipped, before I climb these big 8,000 meters like Annapurna. And when it was time to make decision which is going to be my first 8,000 meter, Annapurna was the most easiest and natural choice for me.
Why? But it is the most deadliest mountain in the world.
And I think that made it easier for me to decide why Annapurna, because this is the most deadliest mountain. And if I can climb Annapurna, I can climb literally any mountain on the planet. And that was my simple response. But more than that, I think I've always felt a very strong connection with Ma Annapurna. I don't call it like Mount Annapurna. I always seen and regarded as Annapurna as Ma Annapurna. For me, it's
Ma as in like mother.
Mother, exactly. So that's what I've always felt with that mountain, that, it's the mother mountain. And I mean, and with mother, you're always safe. I've never felt unsafe, even on the entire expedition, and during that period, never felt unsafe or, oh, there are a lot of avalanches coming and I'm scared, I have a lot of fear. None of those things were there. So, when you look at something with that pure lens, pure eyes of looking at mountain as the mother mountain, this is what you get,
So the accident happened on the first day of expedition, right?
No, accident happened towards the end of the expedition.
While coming back?
While descending down. I couldn't reach the summit. I descended down, from the summit, 150 meters away from the summit, because the weather was changing drastically. And for me, the best decision I could do that and take in that moment was to descend down, because it'll be very late in the evening by the time I will reach the summit, 5 p.m. or so. and that does not make sense to continue. That's like a suicidal mission. So the most kind of wise decision would be to just descend down so that I can make another attempt couple of days later when there is a good weather window. So we decided to descend down, and it was 16th of April. We were descending down, then reached, Camp 4 again, and then rested there, stayed that night, and then 17th of morning we started going to Camp 3. And then our plan was to go to Camp 2 and stay there a couple of days.
And then go back to the mountain again.
Exactly. And then go back to the mountain when there is a good weather window, do the summit push few days later.
How many people were there in expedition?
I don't know. I think maybe total of 35, 40 people on the entire Annapurna.
They are working just
And-
for you.
No. What I mean, like other clients, other expedition, people who are climbing. So close to, I think 35 people in total were climbing, and same equal amount of Sherpas, and
35 climbers.
clients. Yeah,
Clients. You were one of them.
Climbers. I was one of them.
Okay, you guys, everybody was descending together.
No. We don't descend together. We come at our own pace. We go at our own pace.
So my question is, how many people were guiding you, with you
Oh,
specifically?
my Sherpa was guiding me.
One.
Yeah.
Just two of you.
Yeah, we go always with our own Sherpa, and other climbers are walking in front or walking behind. We go all at our own pace.
Okay. And then the accident happened.
Yeah, between Camp 3 and Camp 2.
3 days. You have no, like, you don't have memory of right after you fall, or like after
I
a
have
day?
no memory even of the fall. I have no memory of my time inside the crevasse, 3 days and 3 nights, so 72 or 74 hours, no memory.
But there are some
And
footages of yours, right?
Yeah, but I have no memory of the time. I recorded my videos inside the crevasse, but I have no memory of that time. I've only reconstructed everything after watching those footages.
While I was talking to Sonak, he told me, it's Anup, maybe you can draft the podcast into a miracle format. So there are two miracles that has happened. One is mountain miracle, and the other is health miracle. And with mountain miracle, he mentioned that while a lot of rescuers were not willing to take that risk because they have already declared you dead. The two police people, they came, but then I think the rope thing.
That was one of the miracles.
Would you like to?
Yeah, I mean, so when Adam descended inside the crevasse, he was carrying a 70-meter rope, which is a very rare phenomena in the world of mountaineering. No one carries a 70-meter rope. People carry usually 40 or 50 meter, maximum 50-meter rope. And I was found at 68 meters. So if that rope wasn't there, he would not even seen me or have found me. So exactly, they will just, go back again, leaving me there forever. So that was one miracle, and it's not just two miracles. There was a series of miracles. I can count 15 on my tips. So many miracles have happened for me to be alive here and doing this podcast with you.
Then the second miracle he mentioned was what was the technical term of the medical when you were brought back to the Pokhara?
Mm-hmm.
The
I was
OCR
kind of declared dead. The CPR.
CPI, yes.
Yeah.
You kind of declared dead.
I was declared dead. People have definitely declared me dead after for 30 minutes of CPR. There was no life in my body.
So
Doctors
you were not
say
even
that there is
breathing?
no life. No,
No
there was no life in my body. Doctor said that there is no life in this body. Should we just stop giving us CPR? So yeah.
And it was your brother.
It was my brother, my cousin brother, who was in Kathmandu. He told Ashish, just keep
Ashish is?
asking. Ashish, my younger brother, who was in Pokhara. They were just like, just ask doctor to continue giving CPR. It doesn't matter whatever happens. We'll deal with this medical situation later on. But right now, let him ask him to just keep continuing to give that CPR.
For 2 hours.
Not 2 hours. It lasted for 4 hours,
4 hours.
5 minutes. I think it's one of the longest CPRs in the world.
In the world. And you suddenly got a
And then I first, after that, I took my first breath. Then I was quickly airlifted to Kathmandu
Okay, and
for
then you
further
came to
treatment.
Medicity.
Then I was in Medicity for 21 days. That's where my treatment was, happened. And then I was airlifted to India at AIIMS, New Delhi, uh, on 11th of May 2023.
And then
21 days later.
for 7 months you were in hospital.
I was in hospital for 7 months in total.
So when did you got the full consciousness? Okay, I'm here, I'm alive. But then
It happened in Nepal only. Yeah. But I have kind of fainted memory of that time. I have no full memory of all of those early days. When I'm just coming back to life and, getting back to my senses. So those were early days. So, but yeah, I do remember, when I woke up, nurses were dressing my wounds. Those are my initial early memories of my time. I remember the day when I was airlifted. They were taking me, from hospital, from the, corridors of hospital to air ambulance, ambulance and then air ambulance. I remember that time for sure. But like, I can't recall my 24 hours day fully. I can remember bits and pieces of it.
are you a spiritual person?
Yeah, very much.
So what's the spiritual side of Anurag has defined this whole process into?
I mean, it's simple. It's meant to be, and it happened to me. It's like Annapurna chose me out of these 8 billion people, or, out of these 40 climbers who were climbing Annapurna at that time, or 80, including Sherpas and everyone, and whatever number of people have climbed Annapurna so far. I look at everything as a blessing that, Annapurna chose me to experience something like this.
It
It's
kept you safe for 3 days.
Exactly, it kept me safe. The mountain that's known for taking people's lives has kept me safe. That became my home, for that moment when I needed someone to protect me, and Annapurna protected me during that time when, yeah. So, I mean, I only feel and sense everything as a true blessing, that what Annapurna has given me, no one else can actually give me that. A new identity that I cherish it so much now. It has given me a new identity that I embraced it fully. I love it so much. And I'm just so grateful to Annapurna for doing that.
I like how you said it. A mountain so popular for taking life saved you.
Exactly. I mean, that's the reality, when there is a 34% fatality rate out of every 3 climbers who climbs and attempts it, 1 perishes. And that mountain has given me my life back. So I'm just grateful to Annapurna for taking care of me, for loving me, for nurturing me, for nourishing me. Annapurna is known as the mountain of nourishment. Annapurna. Ma Annapurna, like it provides you the nourishment that you need, and it nourished me. And that's why I tell sometimes people, I really didn't need any food and water there. I am, in
didn't even need it.
Annapurna.
You didn't even need it
Annapurna
oxygen.
is already giving me everything that I need, If I need oxygen, there is oxygen. If I need food, I have food. It's Annapurna, I need water, I have water. It's Annapurna, It's the mountain that is nourishing you so much. So what else you can ask from that mountain that is the mother of nourishment?
So you mentioned the new identity. So what's the new identity and how is it different from your old identity?
In so many ways. I mean, I've been generally very positive, very hopeful person in life. And I'm still that way. But quite a lot of things have changed in my life, and especially my relationship with so many things have changed.
For example?
My relationship with fear has changed.
Mm-hmm.
I used to had fear in the past, but now I have no fear. I don't experience that fear. For me, anything and everything is a possibility. I can do anything and everything. Everything looks truly possible. So I don't feel any sort of fear. Uh, and second is also my relationship with, you know, faith has changed. And I'm not a very religious person. My parents are, but not me. But now my relationship has changed in a way where even if I don't believe in something, I don't discard it right away. I don't deny it. You know, I may not understand. It's my ignorance that I don't understand does not mean that something does not exist just because I don't get it. So that has definitely been a big shift in my perspective towards people who have faith in any sort of things. People can worship animals, people can worship God, different gods, different religions. Now I, bow down and I respect their faith. My faith lies not necessarily with any God. For me, my mountain is my God, nature is my God, my parents are my God. But now I also believe in people's faith. If you believe in something, I believe in your faith. I don't have to worship your faith, but I have full belief in your faith, whoever you worship, because you prayed for me when I needed you the most. The whole world prayed for me. People believed and had prayers, meditated, did whatever they could do in their own ways to see me alive. So that's what I have faith in. I have faith in people. I have faith in humanity. I have faith in the community of people that are out there. I have faith in the goodness that lies in the hearts of people. That's my faith.
I was reading this book. I think it's from James Clear, Atomic Habits. Have you read that book?
Not yet fully.
So I don't know if it's the same book, but then there was a mention of how people come back out of a trauma in their life. One, they come back as it is. Okay, it has happened to me. I have to move back to my regular life. Second, they come depressed. They become victim of what has happened to them.
PTSD.
Yeah. And third, they come maybe as doers, or maybe as somebody who would take that downfall, take that trauma as a stepping stone to rise higher.
Up. Yeah.
And I feel you have adopted the third approach towards life.
Exactly, you nailed it right. So what I am experiencing after this incident, not post-traumatic stress disorder, not PTSD, but post-traumatic growth. That's what we call
PSG.
it. Post-traumatic growth. PTG.
PTG.
And that's a thing. When I learned about it for the first time, I started reading, and this is what exactly I'm facing and going and experiencing right now. Rather than going downwards, I'm going upwards. So that's the trajectory I'm on of post-traumatic growth.
Which was the most, because during the accident you were not fully conscious. And once you have gained your conscious in the hospital, the 7 months, was that the most difficult time?
For family, for sure. For me, maybe. There were moments when I was very low. But then, I'm again, as I told you, my mindset is a very positive mindset. It's a very growth-oriented mindset. I look at things with a fresh pair of eyes, with more, happy moments, new perspective around, finding my own little joys in whatever going around in my life. I made so many friends in hospital. Nurses became my friends, my surgeons became my friends, staff in hospital became my friends. So I even enjoyed that time in the hospital. I was like, I don't want to leave here right now. Literally, that was my situation. It's okay if I'm staying here longer. Yes, I wanted to go home before Diwali. I told this to my doctors. I want to go before Diwali, but I really enjoyed my time in the hospital. I became so close with everyone there. They are my family, They became part of my extended family. So my mindset is pretty much like that, you know.
Where do you get this optimistic mindset? It comes boiled down from your genes, or it's pre-experience of
I don't know. I think I have had good experiences in life. Maybe that has taught me. I don't know. My grandfather is also, very strong-minded person, strong-headed, person. He's 92. He's right now here with us, and so maybe something comes from him too, for sure, in terms of why I'm so strongly, strong-headed, and but also as a family, we may not have all the means in lives. We didn't grow up in like fancy houses or fancy, upbringings with golden spoon or even silver spoon. But we were always being content with whatever we had. That's definitely the mindset I come from also through my dad. He's happy with what he have. He's not very in terms of like, let's take over the world, we need everything, like we want to just exploit everything. He doesn't have that mind. So my upbringing has been very, much about being content with what you have, being, having that acceptance of your reality in life. This is my new reality in life. I have accepted it now. And also in my previous life, I know this is our reality. Let's say, we didn't grow up with, for example, car in our home. We know that's our reality. We can't afford it. So we don't even crave for it. We don't expect that to suddenly come to us. We don't suddenly seek like, oh, we need like all of these things in our lives because my other cousins have or my friends have. We are more mindful of our own realities, and we tend to accept that and live with that.
But then again, you're not saying to be less ambitious, right?
No, it doesn't mean that you don't have to be ambitious. I'm very ambitious.
So yeah, it's not about being less ambitious, right?
It's definitely not about being less ambitious. I'm very ambitious, and I think now after this incident, I've become a lot more ambitious in terms of, because I'm so lucky to have this another chance at life, and I don't want to waste any moment now. I want to do so much more. So my ambition has increased and grown and rose, and yeah. But again, like I find my peace with what I have. I accept this, but I work towards also getting where I need to get.
What are I have asked this question again, but let me reframe the same question. What has been, now looking back, what has been the most difficult thing about this accident, if you have to look back?
I mean, obviously, there were two most difficult moments for me, especially of the conscious me when I was in my senses. One was to give consent for amputation. That was the most difficult decision for me when doctors came to me in the month of July or June, like,
how many days
we have to amputate. It took me 10 days to accept it, that I just did not give my consent. Every day they come and ask me, and I'm like, no, I'm not signing. That time I gave, obviously not sign, but gave my thumb. But I'm like,
how many days after the accident, the decision?
Maybe close to 2.5 months later.
Okay.
Amputation happened very late. I think around maybe 2.5, 3 months.
What was the worst case scenario if you had not given the?
Oh, the infection would have spread in my body. They might have to cut my whole limb. They might have to cut my whole hand, leg. If the infection would spread, it's a gangrene, dry gangrene, and some areas will get wet, and the infection, there is a good likelihood that infection might spread in other parts of the body. So the best decision I can do during that time is to allow them to amputate and to not live with this, no, tell me how much will you cut first. Yeah, they did not have this answer. They have to start doing it, then only they would know how much it will cut. I'm asking them, can you please save my fingers? Can you save my thumb? They won't know. They can't even tell me this right now unless they start going layer by layer, tissue by tissue, how much it will cut. I can only accept this reality and allow them to do what they are supposed to do and trust them for their expertise, for what they are known for. And to be very honest, they did an incredibly amazing job. They saved as much as they could save. I never had this expectation that this will be here. I thought all my fingers and thumb are gone. I'll only have this palm. And they saved as much as they could have. So what a blessing, to have such surgeons on your, in your for your care. So I'm so grateful for what they did, in saving this.
I had difficulty to raise the question of amputation, and then here you are, all accepted, all made a peace with it.
Yeah, now though I'm like, I love it the way it is. It was very hard to accept this, in the hospital, what people will think, how people will look at me, how people will judge me. So many thoughts, how, like I'm not married yet, how people will, like my potential partner would see me. I was so vulnerable in hospital days. I used to cry. I used to tell my parents, like, those were really hard days. But the day I accepted this in my mind, then it never worried me. Then I have accepted it here means I've accepted it in my life. There is no, doubt about it now. It doesn't worry me at all. This is me. This is part of me as much as, like anything else. So if you have to marry me, if you have to be with me, you have to also be with this hand. This is just hand. I have almost 50% of my body has new skin. That's also me. So now that's me, I can't run away from it. I can't escape. I have to live with this reality, and I have to live this live with this reality in peace, with happiness, with joy. Not like crying, not like a victim, like why did this happen to me? What did I do wrong? And crying all my life. I can't live that way. Otherwise, it's better to just die rather than live that way in life. So definitely I'm not that one,
So, where did it started? I mean, like the motivation, did it came from somewhere external side, or it's something that you build internally, and then one fine day you accepted, okay, this is it.
No, I mean, I don't know, maybe that's how I'm wired, little differently. And I don't know, maybe. I think it's also a lot with the family, the values, the way you have grown up, the people that you have grown up with. It comes a lot, I think, through your upbringing. And I think that had played a huge role in my story, like my upbringing. So I give credit to my parents for this upbringing, for me to be able to develop this kind of a mindset, So,
And
yeah.
now-
And then obviously, so many life experiences. I've met so many people worldwide, traveled around the world, close to 60 plus countries. I've been to extremely like wild places, deserted places, dangerous places. I've seen some part of the world. I've learned so much from people I have encountered. I've met so many people with hardships. They have taught me, like my hardship, it looks very small now looking at that. Like in hospital time only, I've seen so many patients. Like in my own little like ward, in my own row, there are like 12 beds, and then 12 here, then 12, then 12 and 12, 48 beds. And you see so many patients. Someone doesn't have a leg, someone doesn't have a hand, someone doesn't have an eye, ear, like what not. I can't even imagine, how difficult it is to live in that situation. I have pretty much everything. What? I don't have a thumb. It's okay. I can relearn. I can find new ways of doing things. I don't have a finger. That's okay. But I have pretty much everything. I should bloody be so grateful that whatever I have, rather than like being that victim mindset. So definitely, that doesn't just go with me. I can't even think of that I can't even imagine myself in that way. What would I be saying and doing? And I would just can't even visualize myself doing all of that.
I wanted to ask you a question about mental health, but I think you have answered it somehow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm generally very strong here.
Nice. How has it changed your regular life? I mean, like losing a finger. How has it changed? Like,
We have to relearn everything. I have to relearn everything. I lost my full body's muscle memory. So I had to learn everything from even like sitting. There was a time for months I couldn't sit myself alone. I can't get from the bed. I can't push myself up. I forgot how to even do that. Come in front. If I'm lying, I don't know how to push my body up forward. It took so long for me to get there. I had to relearn everything from walking to even talking. I couldn't speak for 5 months.
no,
I had tracheostomy.
not a
No,
single
I
word
couldn't speak. There was a tube there.
for you to help breathing
Yeah.
and for
So
food.
I couldn't speak, anything. Not for food. But maybe in early days they may have even given food through that. I don't know. But I couldn't speak for me. So I had to relearn everything. Like first time when I spoke, I spoke very slowly and things like so yeah, like pretty much everything I have to relearn. Walking, climbing stairs, like going to toilet, taking showers, eating with left hand, then slowly learning with right hand, writing with left hand, writing with now right hand also I can do. I just have to do it things differently than you would do. But it does not mean that I can't do that. So that's the mindset I operate with.
How did this whole thing become so big? Because Sonak mentioned me that he got a call from office of president to make sure that you come alive out of the mountain. And there's a lot of buzz in a global media as well. How did it all happen? I'm like, who are you?
I don't know any of these what
What
was
have you
going
done?
behind the scenes. I was just chilling inside the crevasse, literally.
And there's a YouTube video where mentioned Gautam Adani airlifted
Yeah.
you, sponsored the process of
Yeah.
airlifting you.
Yeah. So lot of people were involved in this rescue. It's not just family and friends. Friends from all over the world, close to 60 different countries. So many people were worldwide got involved.
Why
People who
and
did
how?
not know that. So many strangers I did not know. I still don't know. And they were involved. They did everything they could have done in their own capacity. Like Sonak and I met in 2012 in Pakistan. And we stayed in touch on and off. We were not best of the buddies or talking to each other every day or uh, we hardly used to interact or see each other. But he stood with me when I needed him the most. So I think for me, my friendships have always been about, it's very authentic. It's non-transactional relationships that I build with people. I'm not seeking anything from you. Neither I would expect you to also do that. My relationships are very pure, genuine, out of curiosity, out of love. I'm interested. But I'm not interested in anything to get from you. That doesn't interest me. What interests me is your well being. What interests me is who you are, what you want to become, what your hopes and aspirations are, your dreams are. And if I could be of part in helping you get there, that's what I'm interested in. So I've always invested in people, in relationships. I've made an effort to stay in touch with people. I don't talk to my best friends very often. I talk to them maybe, couple of months or maybe sometimes once a year or 6 months. But it does not mean that I'm not investing in them. The relationship is there is so much depth in those relationships. It does not even mean that I'm taking them for granted. No, we stay in touch, we want to be in touch. But we also know we get busy in our day-to-day lives. There are times in our lives when different people come and go. Some people become more closer in different parts of phases of your life. Some people, distance, make a distance. But it does not mean that I'm, further away from them. I'm not close to them. My relationship still remains the same with people I don't interact for 6 months or I interact every day. The warmth and the depth of the relationship still the same. I don't treat you any differently than what I would treat someone who I'm meeting every day. So that's how I have built my relationships with people. And the whole world stood for me because that's the kind of relationships I have built with people. Most of my friends are around the world. I don't necessarily meet them very often. I have traveled to those countries, I meet them. We meet in some other countries sometimes. But I make an effort for sure to stay in touch with them through phone. I will send people messages once in a while or randomly. I'm thinking of you. You are in my mind. How are you doing? Just simple messages like type it out or send a voice note or send a video note. That's what I do, Like if I'm thinking of someone, I let them know I'm thinking of you. You are in my mind. And these things make so much difference in establishing that bond that shows your sincerity, that shows your respect. You're not like you'll remember people only when you want to remember them or you need them. I need something from someone, that's where we remember always the people. But don't remember people when we are just, like randomly. So I don't do that. So I think what I was doing in last 10 to 13 years of my life was getting people together, investing in people through building, startup communities, entrepreneurship ecosystem, these innovation networks worldwide, mainly in Asia Pacific, in emerging markets around the world. And that's why I have so many friends everywhere. I'm involved with so many organizations worldwide. Not necessarily full time with everyone. Some part time engagement, some like voluntarily engagement, some full time engagements in different times in life. But I'm always giving my time in those relationships, and that's what people see. When they stood for me, they saw something that I did right in my life. That's why they decided to stick around with my family, with me when I needed them. If it was a relationship built on a transaction, none of them would have stayed, So I think that played a huge role in mobilizing resources everywhere. Like so many ministers were reached out in India and including Nepal. Our defense forces were mobilized. People reached out to like the CEO of Garmin and even founder of Garmin and even Apple CEO. They reached out to battery and drone suppliers, to who not. Like they reached out to everyone they could. In their capacity, people did not even hesitate to share contacts of high profile number people in the WhatsApp groups. People had so much of trust. It's an all self mobilized community driven rescue effort. But people had so much of trust also that no one would misuse. People are here for a common reason, common purpose, and agenda is to save Anurag, to help Anurag, to bring back Anurag. That was actually the hashtag, there was the campaign
Bring
that
back
was
Anurag.
called Bring Back Anurag. And people did everything in their capacity to bring me back. And I'm just so lucky, so grateful, so blessed that, I had such set of friends in my life, people in my life that I can call my family. I always tell this to my mom and she knows it. I tell this to my mom all the time. I can show up in any country. I don't need anything to show up there except the visa there. If I don't have, the people will help me even get the visa, but that's all I need, just to show up and then I'm taken care of. I have literally families in every country I can go in and I'm taken care of. I just show up. I have a home, I have a roof, I have food. whatever I need, I have things, And that's what also happened, in case when my family showed up in Nepal. There were like 3-4 different like vehicles, cars, people from, including Sonak and a lot of our family relatives in Nepal, friends, relatives in Nepal, like showing up at the airport to receive my family. Like there was just such a sense of urgency in people that they need to act. They need to act fast, because time is of the crucial essence there. Every second is like so heavy on them. We can't lose out. So, I mean, it's a blessing that I have these people in my life, and I'm just so grateful that, I could do this. Now I want to double down on building the relationships this way. I want to tell people this is how you build relationships. Build a community before you need it. I built that community before I needed it. And that's why they were there when I needed them the most.
It's like the community giving back, because I was listening to one of the podcasts from 2018, and one of the question was, Anurag, what do you mean by community architecture? How do you architecture a community? And then you invested a lot of time building a community, and when you need it, the community just formed itself.
Exactly.
I mean, like different community came together to form a new community.
It's like a web, a complex web. I'm still trying to figure out which nodes were connected, who connected whom, who introduced to whom. I have no idea. I'm still like trying to figure these things out. But so many mini communities, mini small subgroups, got activated. We don't even know so many of them. But it all had a ripple effect. It became like a huge wave in the ocean. Small ripples like drop of water, and that ripple effect like just spreading in the whole like ocean. That's how this whole community got activated.
How did this police guy came into a picture? I mean, like I was told a lot of rescuers were not willing to take a risk because they thought you were already dead. How did these people came in?
Yeah, so there's a little story there. I met the Polish climbers at the base camp in Annapurna.
Okay, they were in Nepal.
There on the Annapurna to climb a new route from, I think, northwest route of Annapurna, and they wanted to ski down the mountain. So they were exploring a new route. It was their third attempt to do that. And because they were, Nepal had very, bad winter, or Annapurna especially had bad winter, there was hardly any snow on the mountain, and there was a lot of rockfall that happened. But that was happening when they were trying to climb. So a lot of rocks were hitting on their face and helmet. So they decided to abandon their expedition. When they returned to base camp on April 19th, they learned about this incident because they were climbing a different route. They had no idea what was going on the normal route of Annapurna. So when they reached the base camp, it was deserted, empty, and they learned about this incident. An Indian climber has fallen down inside a crevasse and has not been found in last 3 days. This is the third day going. So then the local Sherpas, they asked them, do you know how to rescue? And they said, yes, we know how to rescue. Can you do that? He said, we can do that. So for them, 3 things helped them make that decision. Very simple, straightforward answers. Today, it's you. Tomorrow, it could be me. That's what I would expect from people. When I need help, someone is there to come and rescue me. Today, you were needing help, and I was there to rescue you. That's all a simple human relationship, humanity as we would expect from each other. Second thing was, it was very easy decision because they were the only ones who could rescue, because they were the only ones on the mountain, also acclimatized, had the right skill set to do this rescue. Sherpas didn't have the skill set to rescue. So they can't even descend down the crevasse because they don't know if they can even get inside the crevasse, but they don't know how to get outside the crevasse with a body.
With a body.
So it's a complex rescue mission. And then the third thing is they learned that I'm Hindu. Even before that, they learned that, there is a lot of pressure coming from my family. And, worldwide. So they also thought that maybe this guy is a good guy. Maybe he have done something right. That's why everyone around the world is rallying behind him to get him rescued. Maybe he's a nice guy. But also there was a lot of, pressure from the family. They learned that I'm Hindu and my parents would make peace after doing the last rites of my body.
Because even at that point of time, it was not finding
Such a high emotional intelligence at that point in that 6,000 meter. They were thinking of the family. So they went inside the crevasse to take out my dead body for my family. It was not a rescue mission. It turned into a rescue mission when he found me alive.
Oh man, I can feel the goosebump.
Yeah. So it turned into a rescue mission instantly.
Crazy. Are you planning to make a movie around your life anytime soon?
I don't know when, but yes, it's on the cards. We are having conversations.
Okay. Amazing. I'm really curious. What did you do before you decided to? While you have given a hint about building communities, could you go a bit deeper about what did you do even before you decided to become a climber?
Yeah, so climbing is very new to me, like I'm a novice, I would say, new age climber, recently started in 2020, my climbing journey properly as a trained mountaineer. Mountaineering is not my profession, it's my passion. I don't do this full time. I climb every year 2.5 to 3 months, but it's not my full time thing, I don't make money through climbing. And for me, I invest into my climbing and these expeditions and, in mountains, but not there to make money through mountains. I mean, in 2020, when COVID happened, all my travels around the world stopped. I couldn't travel. But earlier, I used to travel a lot, especially from 2015 till 2019. I used to travel a lot. When I say a lot, basically every 7 to 10 days, I'm traveling to a new country. That's how I used to travel. I'm in Nepal today, tomorrow I'm in Maldives. Like a week later, I will be in Afghanistan or Tajikistan.
Mostly South Asia.
South Asia, Southeast Asia, Central Asia, East Asia, sometimes Europe and sometimes US because my companies were based there. So, but mostly in Asia Pacific, I used to travel extensively. I mean, either embassies were my second home or the airports were my second home. I am applying for visa or transiting. So that's how I used to spend a lot of my time, commuting. But when COVID happened, all this travel stopped. And that's when I reprioritized mountaineering in my life. I wanted to climb mountains since 2011 when I was a student.
Did something happen that you thought maybe this is something
I
want
don't know. I just came across that, this course. I heard about this Nano Institute of Mountaineering. I want to do this basic mountaineering course somehow. Maybe on some Google groups back in the days, I saw that form. I wanted to do that mountaineering, but it just never happened because, I was on a different path. I'm making very offbeat decisions in my life. I can't really ask my parents to support me in these crazy dreams and adventures
these
of climbing.
adventures are expensive, right?
Exactly.
Pretty
So I
expensive.
knew that these mountaineering expeditions are very expensive, and I need to get ready to be able to afford this kind of way of living, to be able to climb these mountains. I need to work hard to get myself ready that I can afford this rather than asking my family to support it. But in 2013, I went on an expedition to Antarctica. I fundraised, I made it to Antarctica. That's where I knew that I want to be climbing. I want to see myself climbing. It became so clear with an Antarctica expedition that, I belong to the mountains. That's my home. I love the mountains, The vibe, the energy that I felt in those time in Antarctica was so different. I came back, got busy with my work life, traveling and all of these things and working with startups and entrepreneurs. But when COVID happened, life reprioritized. And the good thing is I've been working remotely since last 10 years. So I can work from anywhere. And that's why I also leverage this time to be in the mountains, because I can work from anywhere. So I move my base sometimes in mountains, in Ladakh, and training there in the mornings and rest of the day working. So I'm training, getting myself ready for every day to be, acclimatized, to be ready to experience the mountain life closely. And when COVID happened, then during that time, I also started making good money, that now I can afford. And that's where I started climbing, when I know I can financially support my family, support myself, and also fuel and invest money into my climbing expeditions. That's when I started money. I never took money from my parents to support my climbing. I never got sponsorship for my climbing. Everything has been, earned and then invested and saved, So, and I'm very proud of it that I could do that, and that's how I did it. All my climbing was, self-supported. I climbed close to 10 mountains already. Annapurna was my 11th mountain. So,
The highest one as well.
and the highest one as well. I reached over 7,900 meters,
And where does the sustainability comes from? The ESC.
I mean, that's my work is also about, but I've always been very, I love environment, nature, my journey in college really started a lot with the activism mindset. I was a activist, so my climate journey truly started, or sustainability journey really started with the activism hat.
towards
Climate activism.
Okay.
Then I got into climate education. I became a teacher with Teach for India. I was teaching young kids, 6 to 10-year-old kids, say second grade, third grade kids, all the subjects, but at the same time, something that I would leave them behind with was education for sustainable development. I introduced sustainability into classrooms and schools. So I was got into climate activism to climate education. And then last 10 years of my life into climate innovation. I'm working with technology startups solving for such challenges around climate and sustainability and SDGs. So now I've got into climate innovation. And then when I started my running journey and then my mountaineering, I became a climate athlete. So that's my intersection on, climate has been at the intersection of my life, from activism to education to innovation to athlete.
Nice.
So it's a core of what I've been doing. My values are, I genuinely care about this, I wish now I become someone who also wants to bring climate into the political agenda. Maybe I'll become climate politician, who knows? The point is, we need to bring these topics into a mainstream agenda. You can't mess up with your climate. We won't survive. We won't live if we don't prioritize right now. Look at the temperatures in Delhi and India right now. The entire northern belt of India and Pakistan and Nepal, all of this is burning. It's like a furnace right now.
And probably we would be one of those countries who will suffer the
We
first.
are the most climate vulnerable countries, we are already touching 50 degrees, 48, 49 degrees. What do you imagine next 5 years? We'll only be sitting inside our rooms, in our homes with ACs, but the rest of the world doesn't even have ACs. How will that population survive if we don't prioritize this? Right now, if we don't take steps right now to deal with this climate emergency right now, we'll leave the world in a horrible place.
Exactly, this is an emergency, right? So does
It
it
is.
does it make you anxious because things are not seeming to moving, right?
But I'm hopeful, I'm a hopeful person.
Okay.
I don't give up easily, I believe that there are also good people out there in those positions who will do something about it.
Because when I see from my perspective, I all I see is conversations are happening. People are agreeing that climate is
We
being
need
changed.
action.
Exactly.
Not just conversations, talking.
Exactly.
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 I come from that mindset. I used to run this program called Startup Weekend for good like 6-7 years in Asia Pacific. That's what I was doing to build startup communities and these entrepreneurship ecosystem.
Mostly around ESG only.
All sorts of ideas in the region, and our Startup Weekend motto was very simple: no talk, all action. Get things done.
Become a doer.
Let's not talk about things, let's do something about it.
Targeted for doers.
Exactly. And that's what your podcast is.
Yes.
Such a pun you are like, pointing it to.
I'm using a marketing mind of mine.
Yeah, very marketing. Right? So anyways, that's the point, like you need to do something about it. Don't just talk about it, think about it.
So let me take the conversation more towards the entrepreneurial side. While working with a lot of entrepreneurs, want to be an entrepreneur, startup ecosystem on this emerging market, what were couple of few common factors you found, regardless if it's Maldives, India, Nepal, Afghanistan, one common factor among these emerging market, among the entrepreneurs?
We have our own real problems. We don't have to solve for West. We need to solve for ourselves. If we solve for ourselves, we'll solve for rest of the world. So really focus on solving your own problems. Don't try to create solutions that works for West or that exist in West. You need your own local solution. That's where we need to innovate.
True. Because they will never solve.
They can't solve our problems. Exactly. We need to solve our problems, right? Like Uber have to also customize to work in this region. In Nepal, that doesn't even work, right?
No,
you need a local solution like Pathao to come and disrupt this, right? So what you need is more local disruption in your own economy, someone who understands this market, someone who understands this ecosystem. All the answers and solution doesn't lie with the West. We need to start believing in ourselves, in our own potential, to also come up with the solutions that our region needs, that our own nation needs. Let's not give a packed recipe for everything. We need to customize it. We need to stay relevant to our own people, to their own challenges, to their own solutions and needs.
I think I remember a scene from an Indian web series, Pictures maybe, and there was this dialogue.
Pictures.
Yes, there was this dialogue. We need something new. We need something more contextual. We need something for the India. And then the investor be like, "How about we create an Indian Uber?" So I think
we have Ola.
We have Ola, 100%. We have Pathao.
Yeah.
We have Tootle. We have InDriver. So you think the one of the most common factor you saw among this emerging market while you were engaged in this community and startup, that people were actually wanting to build solution to the local products, local problems.
Yeah. I mean, that's very common. Like I remember when I'm doing the Startup Weekend in Bhutan or programs in Bhutan, a lot of programs or a lot of ideas will be around tourism. A lot of ideas will be around art and craft. A lot of ideas would be around, cultural heritage. Very new. I don't see that in people pitching the similar ideas in Delhi or Bombay or Bangalore, It's very different. When you do something in Maldives, it's a lot around the island economy, their own challenges, You might hear ideas around blue economy there, When you go to Afghanistan, very different idea. You may not hear a lot of technology ideas. You will hear some technology ideas too, but at the same time, you will hear ideas around solving their own challenges around terrorism too. How do you navigate life in that crisis situation?
You know what? Sorry to interrupt, but then the problem that I've seen among Nepali people is they don't see the local problem as scalable. They see the West problem as scalable that can make huge money, and then they run away from the local problems.
I understand that. I think it's a good problem to have. I understand that how do you scale if you only solve for local here, But also I think what we miss out in while building these businesses is we always look for building venture-backed businesses. That's where the challenge of scalability comes. Why do you need to scale so much? Because your business model is built around venture capital funding. If you build your business's model in a more bootstrapped manner, in a way that is more relevant to your needs and the ecosystem, why do you need to raise all the time funding, or why do you need even investment all the time? Can you build a business that can run profitably, which has a good unit economics? Why do you need to always raise capital? I work in venture capital, but I am not a fan of raising venture capital for all sorts of businesses. You don't necessarily need it. It's one way to scale a business. It's one way to fast track your growth. But that's not the only way that will allow you to grow and scale your business.
And maybe entrepreneurs can also adopt this mindset that not every business need to be scaled.
Exactly. Why every business needs to be scaled? We don't necessarily have to bring scalability. We need to bring sustainability to every business. We need to ensure if it is a business, it needs to sustain itself. It needs to pay its employees. It needs to take care of its own operational costs and all the other costs associated. So rather than focusing so much on like scalability, let's focus on the sustainability of the business. I think that's where we'll have like some great entrepreneurs coming in. You don't need to make like 100 crore business. You can be also happy while building a 10 crore business.
So suggest me a solution, because you have worked with a lot of emerging entrepreneurs, and I am fortunate enough to be connected to a lot of entrepreneurs here in Nepal because of this podcast, because of my existing network. How can we convince a young guy who wants to be an entrepreneur that he or she does not really need to build a scalable business that solves world problem? How do we make them realize that maybe by solving local problem, we are an inch closer to...
I mean, I'm not here to convince anyone.
No, I'm just asking, help me so that I can build a narrative.
No, you shouldn't also convince people. It needs to come from their own self. It needs to have, they need to have their own conviction if they need to build a business. You can't have that conviction and ask someone else to build a business. They need to have that conviction if they need to build that business. So what you can do is you can obviously tell them how you are thinking. You can share you are not the decision maker if they are building a business. You could be a mentor, you could be a coach, but you are not going to decide for them what business they should be building. You can tell them, but the decision has to stay with them. So how I see is, understand your own problem that you want to solve. Why do you want to solve it? Understand your why clearly. The problem you want to solve. Who are you solving it for? What are the pain points you want to address by solving this problem? How will it alleviate their pain? Who are you solving it for? How do you make difference in the lives of your potential customers or users? Who is going to pay for it? Understand those things, those answers clearly first, and then build a solution. Don't stick around so much with your own version of hypothetical solution. That's the first thing you want to build. Be open, be flexible, be agile to pivot, to change. Your solution is not the best solution all the time. It evolves with time. More you interact with people, the more mentorship you get from other resources, you learn that my solution was the worst solution. But if you acknowledge it, then only you can come up with a better solution. So I think the acceptance of our own weakness and our own strengths is important. I think our strength should lies in understanding the core of the problem. Understand the people you are trying to solve this problem for. Interview them, do your validation of your problem so well that you really understand the in and out of the problem with so much of depth and the breadth. That kind of, experience will help you build a great solution for the problem. And also look for, from the very beginning, how do you make sure it's a financially viable solution you are building, so that you make money out of it. I'm not asking you to start a charity or an NGO. If you are building a business, build a business. Make sure you are charging also for it. And people will pay for it if you are actually solving their pain point. If you're not solving their pain point, no one would pay for it. But if you are solving their pain point, people will see with time. They may not understand its value in like right now in 3 months or 6 months. Maybe a year later, suddenly you will see a lot of traction coming, because now, word of mouth is spreading. People are just getting to know what you are actually doing, how it is making their lives so much better now. So stick around, don't give up too easily, keep pivoting when you need to. Don't be so resistant, don't have too much resistance in improving your own idea or the solution. So I think if we approach things with this mindset, we should be able to build a good business. That's my understanding.
And I think someone like you can validate after visiting so many emerging market. A product built in Nepal that solves Nepal's problem can be taken to Afghanistan, can be taken to Bhutan,
It
right?
can be.
Now the
But you
scalability,
need to also customize it there, tweak
True.
it to their own needs.
I mean, like the scalability does not really have to start from US and back to other countries, right? It can happen
No.
from Nepal or the emerging markets.
Exactly. I mean, Pathao came from Bangladesh. Now it's in Nepal also, right? In a similar way, you can expand, and like Gojek started in what, like
Indonesia.
Singapore, Indonesia, or one of these countries. Now it's in so many Southeast Asian countries, Like I remember a couple of countries started in Sri Lanka. That was a good testing ground for them, but then they expanded it to India also. So there are opportunities where you can tap into if you build like for the region. If not like looking at your own country, because the market is so small, you can look at the larger region, South Asia or Southeast Asia as a region, Central Asia as a region,
Nice.
which are very similar to each other, very similar set of problems, very similar set of cultural, nuances there.
And I think it for a lot of people who are watching us, listening to us, I think it should validate, because it's coming from you who have been to a lot of these countries, helped a lot of entrepreneurs, groomed a lot of communities, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, beautiful. I think we recorded an amazing episode where we went from all the way from the mountains to the entrepreneurship to the communities, and it's all blend together because, as you mentioned, post this accident, all these communities got interlinked with them. We don't know how, and saved you out of this.
Absolutely. I mean, also, I wanted to, share one thing. I see mountaineering and entrepreneurship journey are very similar journeys. Both requires a risk-taking mindset. Both requires you to be extremely perseverant. Both requires you to have a strong resilience. Very similar journeys. You both need to have a vision as a mountaineer or as an entrepreneur. So I see both of these mindset are there for me. That's what helps me sometimes move forward in life. Whether I'm climbing a mountain, maybe sometimes my entrepreneurship mindset helps me move forward. Whether I'm in an entrepreneurship journey, my mountaineering mindset comes and supports me in moving forward. So both goes hand in hand for me. You need to find out what's there for you, what kind of mindset you have, and how do you want to grow. What kind of mindset you need to have that to acquire that kind of resilience in your life.
So what next for Anurag with all this experience, all these validations, all this? How do I say it? I like what you said, because a lot of people whose religion you would not understand, they prayed with their God. Now you have a higher faith people. You might not. I mean, like, you might not understand, right?
Yeah.
The validation, the faith, the spirituality, the community, the climbing thing. Now, where does it all lead to? What's next?
I don't know. And that's the beauty of it. I don't know myself. I'm not even seeking those answers right away. I think it'll come to me with time when I'm ready for it. But I'm someone also who thrives in uncertainty, who is not looking for all the answers right away. I enjoy the process, I enjoy the journey, and that's what mountains have also taught me. I'm obviously aiming for the summit, but I'm not worrying about the summit so much. I know I need to get there, but I shouldn't be worrying about my right now.
I mean,
When will
the time is?
let's focus on the next step forward.
So
right?
what's the next step?
So right now, next step is just recovery. For me right now, my full body recovery is the key. Working on my book right now, having conversations around documentaries and things, So right now, just putting the whole story together so that I also know what really happened in those 3 days. So for me right now, that solving that puzzle, that mystery of those 3 days is my next plan, and that's what I would need for a good book to come out so that I understand the whole world can decode what really happened in those 3 days. How people should be building relationships, building, communities in their own lives when they need them. So I think that's my right now next mission.
When can we anticipate the book? A year, 6 months?
At least 1.5 years. 2026. I'm not in rush. I want to take my own time because this is not any other ordinary story that I can write right away. I need to also connect a lot of dots and interview a lot of people, talk to people, like just to connect all these dots myself. Every day I'm having a conversation with someone. I learned something new about my own story. I did not know. When I learned, someone said, "Oh, I reached out to this person." I'm like, "Oh, I had no idea." So, I'm still uncovering every new layers of my own story every day. So it might take a long time, and I might have to come up with, new editions or new releases every few years with some new additional information when I learn them. Then that thing that might happen, I may not be able to cover or the whole story in one go even. And I think I know this. I will miss out some or other aspect of the story because I just will not ever know, every person's involvement in my story because there's too many strangers, too many uncertainties, that I can't find out right now.
Maybe a kind of a online forum or online community where people can come and, okay, I was involved in this. So that way.
How do you get them there?
Through
Even to that platform.
I mean,
So
like-
right now I'm focusing on building my digital brand so that everyone, those who were involved, somehow reach me at least through my Instagram or my social media. And then I can ask these questions and I can get those responses. So right now, definitely my focus is also to build a strong digital identity, so that I can connect with people, those who are involved in my story in some or other way, or who wants to connect with.
Okay, amazing. I think I have one last question for you.
Yes.
So the demography of our audience is majority of them are 18 to 24. And when I imagine, no, sorry, 24 to 35. So when I imagine myself how I was in 24, I was full with fears of uncertainty, fearful of where my life will go. Will I get what I want? Now, I want to ask this question to you, a guy who has lost all his fears. What should that guy or girl who is so fearful of their life, what will the future be like of? What would you like to say to them?
Beautiful question. I will actually read something, a quote of me only. Oh man, this is actually an answer to exactly what you just asked me for. Yeah. When you stop being fearful, you start understanding that the world is full of possibilities. So, keep that fear aside for now, temporarily at least. Start there. And then you might not know, like we always have this fear, what if this door get closed in my life? Will other doors will open or not? If we operate with that mindset, those doors will never open for you. If you have that mindset that let this door close, more doors will open for me. That's where the word of full of, I talk about the word of full of possibilities. You will have infinite number of doors opening for you. Just have that faith in you first. If you don't have faith in yourself, if you don't believe in yourself, how would you expect someone else to believe in you? So have that faith in yourself. Like keep that fear out of your equation. If you operate with fear, you will never operate with your conscience. And we all should be operating with our conscience. Conscience doesn't understand fear. Conscience will always tell you your truth, it will show you your naked truth. So operate with that conscience, and conscience doesn't come close to fear. Conscience stays here, and fear stays here. So, I mean, that's all I can say, have that high sense of possibility in your life. Have that gratitude that things are working for you. You may not see instantly results of them. Don't stop seeking instant gratifications for everything. Believe in that larger plan that's playing out for you. Trust that process, trust that journey. And I think you will see a beautiful light ahead of you.
Amazing. I think I'm going to take that as my personal takeaways. And I for a lot of people who are watching this, you must have got a lot of takeaways. If you have not rewatched the video, I think we have just recorded a timeless content that will be relevant for years to come. Anything you want to say before we end the podcast?
No, but just very grateful. This is my first podcast in Nepal, so very excited about how this goes. And if people really love this content here, would love to do more in future in Nepal too.
So if somebody who is watching this podcast, if they want to reach out to you, what would be the best platform? Which would be a best platform to reach
Instagram.
out? Instagram.
Instagram.
You read all the messages?
Message me there.
You read all the messages?
Read all my messages. I respond to all my messages. No bots. No one else looks at my messages.
Okay.
I do it personally.
Okay. Amazing. I had an amazing time and such a great pleasure to know you a bit deeper. I'd also like to thank Sonak, who would not have been possible without this. He just called me yesterday late at night and he was
Maybe we should bring Sonak into the picture.
Yeah. No, I have a plan to bring Sonak into the podcast.
No, right now in the photo.
Yeah, please, Sonak. Come on, just show your face.
I love putting people on spot.
Yeah. If you only come here. Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Sonak, for getting us connected, for making this happen. Would not have been possible without you. And yeah, for a lot of people watching, share and subscribe. Share this podcast to somebody who you think is in need of such conversation right now and their mindset can be changed. A lot of hope, a lot of faith, less fear, and I think embracing the uncertainty.
Exactly. Accepting your reality.
Accepting it over here,
Yes.
not anywhere else. And it's just like a gravity. If you accept it here, it will go down to all
Operate.
your feet.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Thank you so much for watching this. I'd like to thank our team members. Though in front of camera, it's just two of us talking, but there are amazing people behind the camera, behind the screen, making sure the audio is good, the light is good, the camera is good, and there are amazing people behind computer screen making sure the edit is well. I'll also like to thank production company Viewfinders for making this happen. Viewfinders have started podcast as a service and post-production as a service. If you are thinking of starting your own podcast, please check the link below. We are the people. We believe in a phrase that you walk in with the guest, you walk out with the guest, we take care of the rest. If you have already recorded a podcast, we also provide post-production services. Reach out on the description below. I'll be back again with another amazing guest, another amazing conversation. Till then, you guys take care. Bye-bye.